Third quarter training for Benicia emergency response teams focuses on triage and emergency medicine.
Okay, we have a third scene. This is a flooding. So he comes to the scene and right away he says,
Can you hear me? Are you all right? Okay. What's wrong?
I can help you.
What day is it? What day is it?
It's Saturday.
Okay, you're just flooded, right? Can you help me at all? Okay. Okay. Just be patient. We'll try to get your dog, but you're all right. No problems? Everything's fine? No bleeding?
No.
You sure? Okay.
Sure.
Can you help me or do you want to sit down?
I would rather sit down.
Okay, come here. Why don't you come over here?
all right, so here's a,
Assist me? Can you take this lady just...
very good. So he's identified that she's a walking wounded, she's hysterical, she has a distracting injury, and he's removed her from the scene.
Okay. Aspirating water, cold? Okay. Do you have any blankets in the house or anything around there? Okay.
I'll look around.
Did you give me this wipe? Let's see if we can make her a little bit... You are cold to the touch. Okay, we're going to warm you up. You're going to be all right, okay? We're going to warm you up. We're going to get you out of this water.
Okay, so we transport her out of the water into a dry place, cover her with warm clothes.
Do you have any pain in your chest or your body? You say you can't breathe.
No, I can't feel it.
You can't? How are your arms? Do you have any pain in your arms? You're cold? Okay. All right, let me do...
So we
That hurts? You're cold and it hurts. Okay, well, we're going to warm you up first.
very good. So you're reassuring the victims, you're keeping them covered, you're getting them warmed up, and getting them out of the water and taking them to a dry place.
I think there's nothing really life-threatening other than to get you warm, so we're going to give her a yellow tag.
Okay.
I would suggest. But you're going to be all right. My sisters are going to help you. We're going to get you out of here. Yeah, it's going to be EMT.
Okay, so you're...
Assistant.
Speak
Okay,
up
you
now,
all right?
speak up.
All right, she's going to help you.
We
All
need,
right.
All right.
we need to help her stand
All right.
and get her out of here.
Are you able to get
Can
up?
you stand?
Well,
Can't
come on.
stand? Are you
Okay,
able
we
to
have to
stand?
lift her up. Let's lift her up. Are you ready?
Okay, so you remember how to do a two-person lift?
Yeah.
One arm goes under the knees, the other arm goes around the back, the other person lifts from the back around the under the arms.
No.
She's lying in cold water, she's hypothermic, she may pass out and she may drown in the puddle of water.
Are your lower extremities all right? Are your lower legs
If she has a life-threatening injury, you treat as you go along. So she may have a life-threatening injury, she's very cold, she's shivering, she might go into shock.
What did you say there?
That was fun. She's
such a character.
All right, so we get her out and we go to the next victim.
What day is probably ought to drop the ice bags you ever Cold to touch. You must have drowned in this terrible thing. Cold to touch, non-responsive, black tanker.
A voluntary corpse.
Hotline wire. Okay, I'm gonna come around this side, live wire. Okay, I don't want you to move. Let's see. Oh, now he's touching her. Let's see. Chest pain. Where does it hurt? Right there? Okay. Stay still for a while. Live wire situation. We're trying to work around it. Okay? Relax.
Principle of being a rescuer is do not become a victim yourself. He correctly identified there was a live wire. He stayed away from the live wire, and his buddy helped to remove the live wire from the scene.
Get the hot live wire out from under, okay?
So that's very
What else
important.
do we have to work with here? Dead bones? Okay, let's see. Secure the area here so you're going to be all right. All right, let's go ahead and no longer a wild wire. All right?
I have blood.
All right. Okay, just relax for a while.
There's obvious swelling and disfigurement of her arm.
Anything else? Okay, we're going to get some help here. Okay, I'm drawing a blank on this one besides securing the area as far as what else to do.
Okay, so you do your RPM, you assess her respirations. It looks like she's able to breathe.
Chest pain.
She's having some difficulty breathing and some chest pain.
Going after medicine, so it's a little bit incoherent and obviously fighting.
Oh, very good. And so here comes a list of her medications, and it says that she takes heart medications. You ask her if she took any medications today, and she said no, she did not.
Right.
And she's complaining of chest pain. So you tag her as red. She may be having a medical problem at this time.
Should be immediate based on the symptoms. We red tag her.
Exactly. She's
So when
red.
somebody comes in, we've got one black, two red,
Some assessment of look, listen, and feel, no breathing. 2 attempts to restore breathing, no breathing. Still check for a pulse, capillary perfusion, no capillary perfusion or pulse. She's definitely dead. Sometimes there may be clear signs of the person being dead depending on how delayed you may be. There may be rigor mortis, there may be obvious signs of spasticity. It's very clear the person has been dead for a while. And basically it's exactly what it says, a head to toe. It takes less than 3 minutes to do a head to toe assessment. You walk up to the person and you look for obvious signs of injury to the head. Look for bleeding from the ears, bleeding from the nose. Look for any bleeding around the eyes. If they have raccoon eyes, look behind the ear. See if they have some bruising behind. Look for obvious external injury. Take your hand and run it through their scalp very rapidly. See if it comes out with blood. Put your hand gently behind the head and look for it. Obviously, after that, you come to the face. Make sure the face is stable. Push down on any bony structures. For example, the forehead, the cheeks. Move the nose. See if there's any obvious sign of movement or crepitus or feeling of broken bones under your hand in the face. Come to the neck. Ask them if they're alert, if they're complaining of neck pain. Take your hand and just run it down the back of the neck. See if you can feel an obvious bone of the neck that's not in alignment. Look at the front of the neck. Look for bruising or swelling on the front of the neck. Feel for a pulse again. Make sure that they still have a pulse. This is a secondary survey. You've already triaged them and gone through the motions, but now you have more time on the hand. You want to make sure there's been no interval change. Come down to the chest. Expose the chest if possible. Take a scissors. Just cut straight down. Open the chest up. Look at the chest. Take your hand and feel all the bony structures. Push down on the collarbones, push down on the breastbone. Take both hands, put them on either side of the chest. Push the ribs together. See if the bones crunch, if they have a rib fracture. Do your look, listen, and feel. Make sure that the chest is rising and falling symmetrically. If one side of the chest doesn't move, likely that something heavy fell on there and they have some rib fractures on one side. So they would be something that you could report to the paramedics when they arrive on the scene. As you're working on the chest, go to the shoulders and go to the arms. Make sure the shoulder hasn't dislocated. Hold one arm on one hand on the arm, another on the shoulder. Just gently pull it away and see if it just seems to be floppy and loose, if they have an obvious shoulder dislocation. Take your hand, both hands, and move the bones and see if there's a movement of the bones. So I can show you on the skeleton, for example, if you're doing an arm here, you take your hand and just see if the 2 units of bone move together, or if there's a fracture, they'll move separate of each other. Do both the arms very rapidly. Come down to the abdomen. Look to see if there's some obvious swelling of the abdomen indicating internal bleeding, if there's any bruising on the abdomen. Come down to the pelvis. Very carefully, very gently try to pull the pelvis apart. Again, I'll show you on the skeleton. The pelvis is a ring. Can you see this from where you are? Okay, so it's a ring. You want to take one hand. Yes, sir. So you want to put one hand on either side of this ring and try to pull it apart. If it comes apart, or you try to push it together, if it crunches together, that means that they have a pelvic injury. With a pelvic injury, you can lose about a half gallon of blood. You only have about 1 gallon to lose. If you identify that this person has a pelvic injury, you need to tag them as a red very quickly. You may be able to see blood coming out of the urinary passage, or blood coming out of the rectum associated with a pelvic injury if they've had a crush injury to their pelvis. You're doing a head to toe survey. Go to the legs. Do the same thing on the legs. Look to see if there's obvious disfigurement. If this leg is lying in an unnatural position, that would indicate that there has been a fracture in one of these bones. Or if one is shorter than the other or is rotated in, that means that they've dislocated their hip and this portion has been pulled up, so this leg appears to be shorter than the other leg. Same thing on the legs. Hold one hand above the potential injury, one below, and try to move the 2 ends and see if there's an injury to the leg. Very quickly do a head to toe survey. Come down to the feet. See the pulse in the feet, just like you do capillary refill in the finger. See if there's good capillary refill in the toes. By the time you reach to the end, you can check all of those things and you've done a head to toe. Have 2 people. Can somebody come and help me? So have 2. Good. So we're going to do a 2-person log roll and head tilt. The first person will be holding the head. You can come down and hold the head. You hold the head and the neck as one unit. You stabilize your fingertips against the shoulders. Put one hand on either side and hold the head and neck. The second person holds the shoulder and the hip. And on the count of 3, we're going to turn her over toward me. 1, 2, and 3. We rotate her as a log roll. So she rotates in one smooth movement so we don't cause further injury. and we quickly do a survey of her back looking for injuries. Very often the fatal injury is at the back, or the life-threatening injury is at the back. There may be a foreign body that's impaled at the back. There may be some bleeding over here. You might be able to see that a bone in the spine has popped out of place, that she has a potential injury to her spinal cord. So you can quickly identify that. On the count of 3, we're going to turn her back. 1, 2, 3. Head and neck moves, there's 1 unit. So we don't have the head flopping around. So you can do a very quick head to toe. You're done.